Hi! Dari's last video, please take your time to watch it. In my opinion, this is that kind of videos that obviously give the most realistic yet involving and romantic views on one of some first-line landmarks in Latin America, Atacama Desert. So, her last video stopped exactly at this banner, just in 150 kilometers before the most northern frontier of Chile and Argentine. First move? To the gas station. Not a single time more shall we put our tank to rest.
Dice la tostada.
¿De qué corresponde quitarte la moto? ¿Cómo la cosa? ¿Dónde son? ¿Canadá?
Uruguay.
¿Uruguay?
There is a huge difference in everything in two border passes. Los Libertadores, the main connector between Buenos Aires and Santiago de Chile, and Paso de Llama, the most northern and one of the most highly located country borders in the world. If Los Libertadores has a very gradual ascent from the Argentinian side, taking you to 3,800 meters above the sea level, and the way down is very steep shortly after the frontier, but taking you down at least half of the overall altitude, then Paso de Llama is a completely different story. You start with a super steep ascent from Atacama Desert to the high altitude plateau, challenging your bike brutally, so it literally chokes on the third gear. And when you reach the highest point, you are at the incredible 4,300 meters above the sea level, and these 500 meters of difference are the true game changer. Along with the bike, you start to lack oxygen too, and this is where the local witchery helps you to ride it through. Coca leaves. By chewing them, you reduce the breathing hardness, vertigo, or any other symptoms that appear on the altitude. This is absolutely light and natural thing to do, because your saliva alone just cannot extract enough of the essence hiding in the raw cells of the leaf. But in case you want to extract more without any juridical risks, the locals have invented how to do so. Add a tiny amount of the cooking bicarbonates to the leaves and feel the difference. After instantly having your whole mouth numbed, you will definitely feel it. The Argentinians of Jujuy province call it coca pica, and it is freely sold everywhere within the region. But be careful, in Paraguay, sharing border with Jujuy province, coca leaves are prohibited as a potential raw material for drug production. As for the landscapes, this is a fairy tale based on Mars missions footages. Everything is tinted red, the flora almost disappears at this altitude, but the fauna may give you not a single chance to stay impressed. Wild guanacos freely feeding along the salty lakes is already enough for delight. But we were fortunate and could see the Andean fox or pulpeo crossing the highway as we interrupted his feast on the llama's massive corpse hit by the truck. Honestly, I really miss true wilderness that exists outside the barbed wire of national parks. And here, in Chile and in Argentinian Andes, there is just a lonely road connecting people of different states, and all the left is the earth untamed. Well, all of us at some point encounter the bureaucracy in our countries and know that it can be either helpful or on the contrary mistreat you and bring to the threshold of desperation. But have you ever thought of how illogical, confusing and comedian can it be at the same time? Let's take a look how the system is functioning in Paso de Llama, 1,200 kilometers up north from Paso Los Libertadores, where we entered Chile a month ago. Stage 1. The guy on the entrance shows where to head on the area to get further instructions what to do.
El primer trámite es este. Primer trámite. Lo hace acá donde está la casita con el número 1.
Stage 2. Casita número 1. The lady told us to proceed around the corner and enter the building. Okay. Stage 3. The thing is that this is the same building for both Chilean and Argentinian officers, so they have so many common options to do. There are 5 windows you need to reveal your presence to, and each of them is responsible for almost the same things. In every window, they methodically watched our documents and put their own stamp in a special list. Stage 4 was about to give a list with 5 stamps to the main boss. That put a 6th stamp, and then we proceeded to the gate, where the guy just... Goddamn, that's funny, he literally took the time counting the number of stamps and then opened the exit gates. I don't say none of these procedures is necessary, but they could have much more time for Angry Birds and coffee if they had spent a day optimizing stuff. However, now we're in Argentine. One of the specific bugs in our mentality is a constant search for matches with our previous experiences. Shortly after crossing the Argentine-Chilean border for the first time, we started a steep descent, so we expected something similar again. But this elusive thinking was a big mistake. The high-altitude plateau, starting immediately as you lift there from Atacama, reaches across the unbelievable distance of 450 kilometers, thus leaving its 2/3 for Argentinian side. Surprisingly, the landscapes start to be different shortly after the border, and the Mars expedition becomes replaced with a weird world of creepy giant cactuses, wild donkeys feeding on the crude plants, and immense salt lakes that, unlike their Chilean mates, are densely occupied by the miners. There are whole villages built only for the service of these unbelievable salt mines, as well as the real salt markets where people can buy salt wholesale. This is a popular destination for the tourists coming to Jujuy province, and it's called Salinas Grandes, though the attraction requires enough stamina to get that high in the mountains. However, the picture is kinda magic. It reminds the icy wastelands of Russian Arctic regions without a single tree within a sight, and all covered deadly white. It was already growing dark when we ended our way over the plateau, and Salinas Grandes looked even more mysterious and gloomy. When it got completely dark, we started a steep and a very dangerous descent. We couldn't film any footage because of the total blackness around, but just to be mentioned, we start from such a high point in the mountains that an extremely sharp serpentine stretched over 42 kilometers. That was sick, but imminently brought us down to the tropical greenery of Jujuy. This is where our new chapter begins, but it's a story for the next video. Hope you liked this one, hit like and subscribe. See you soon, bye bye!